Hello everyone, and welcome to this thorough lesson on the rhythm guitar part for Steve Lacy's Sunshine. In this lesson, we're going to take my 30 years of experience as a gigging musician, change bar chords to manageable, easier chords to play so they don't kill your hand in a 3-hour gig with one song. There's a free PDF. There's going to be exercises on chord switching, and then example exercises of how to play each phrase. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and definitely leave me a tip in the tip jar so that I stay financially sustainable here on YouTube and with my private students. If you want private guitar lessons, hit me up. Bobby@thehallsofmusic.com. Thanks. Hello everyone. So in this lesson, we're going to use the voice of experience here. I am a former gigging musician. I don't gig anymore. But you know, they've been paying me to do this since I was 15 and I'm 48 now. So, you know, the voice of experience here with this tune, the tune seems like it's got a lot of bar chords in it. And those chords sound great. They're wonderful with the guitar by themselves, right? You play that over and over and over for the verse. And every one of those chords are bar chords. But when we get into the tune and we're trying to play for 5 minutes and we have a bass player and we have a drummer, we don't need these huge sounding chords. We only need the notes that are important. And that's this G sharp, B, and the F sharp. Those 3 notes are played with 3 fingers, not the entire bar, so it saves us. And then the same thing will be done with the F sharp minor. And then all we have to do to get the B is slide our pinky down. And then the C sharp minor is now a G sharp, B, and E. We don't even have a C sharp in there because it's just those 3 fingers. So every one of these chords is done with just 3 fingers, okay? So as we go through this lesson, you're trying to play through the entire song, just use the version of these chord progressions that use only 3 fingers so that you can play for the 3 or 4 minutes that the tune suggests. Again, as a gigging musician who I have played, been being paid to do it for a very long time, since I was 15, I'm 48 now. When you play in a band and you have sometimes the responsibility of playing a 3-hour night, you can't have bar chords killing your hand every single song. You have to figure out ways to play just enough of the chord to make the color that's needed for that particular song, and let the bass carry the low end, let the kick drum from the drummer carry the low end, and save your left hand for the things like playing leads and doing the fancy things that are needed to bring dynamic to the band. You know, playing bar chords the entire time is not like some kind of like dynamic, like soulful thing. It doesn't bring a sense of vibrancy just by killing your hand. So play just the notes that are needed and you will save your hand and be able to play the whole song. All right, so let's go through and look at all of the bar chords that we're going to change from full bar chords to little 3-note chords. So the first chord that looks like it's going to be a bar chord, sounds great when when you bar the 4th fret for the G sharp minor. Your first finger gets the G sharp on the 4th fret, 6th fret, D sharp with the 3rd finger, and your first finger is getting this F sharp and B under here. So you get that, and then you get your pinky on the 7th fret of the 2nd string for that F sharp, and then the first finger catches that G sharp. You get this nice full sound. Now the problem is if you try to do that for 5 minutes, your hand's going to fall off. So let's now look from measures 1 and 2, look down at measures 9 and 10. We have a G sharp and we have all of the essential notes needed. We have a G sharp minor and we have all the essential notes needed to make that G sharp minor sound the way it needs to for this piece. We have the F sharp with our 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string, B on the 6th fret of the 4th string, G sharp. We have B is the 4th fret, 3rd string. Then we have the pinky catching that F sharp. And I am strumming through only these 3 strings, but I mute the bottom 2 strings with my second finger, and I mute the first string with the underside of my first finger, so that if I want to strum more than the 3 strings, I can. So that is how we get that G sharp minor down to 3 strings, and it still sounds great with the piece. All right, so the next chord that we're going to change from a 6-note bar chord down to a 3-note chord is the F sharp minor 7 that starts out in measure 3 for that one beat of the first beat of measure 3. That bar chord, bar 2 with the first finger, 4 or F sharp with the first finger, C sharp or 4 on the fifth string, C sharp with the third finger. Then your underside of your fingers catching the E and the A for the minor 7 sound. Then the pinky's catching the E up top on the 5th fret of the 2nd string for the minor 7 sound. And then the first finger is catching that 2 on the 1st string to catch that sound. Now, again, that chord, impossible to do for 5 minutes. So let's look down at measure 11. We're going to do the same thing with the F sharp minor that we did with the G sharp. We're going to have the same shape, and we're going to play F sharp now on the 4th string, 4th fret with the 3rd finger, A with our 1st finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string, and E with the 5th fret, 2nd string. We're playing just those 3 strings. So what happens here is that we immediately change from there to the B dominant 7, and it just slides right down. So this melody, 2, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and so you hear that da, 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 in the chords. And I'm kind of catching that C sharp minor right there as a bar chord, but that was sort of a mistake. But the point that I'm making is that we have the da, 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 melody happening in the rhythm guitar with just these 4 notes. So just these 3-string chords in the middle of the guitar here. Okay, so let's take a look at the B dominant 7 and how we change that down as well. All right, the next chord that we're gonna make easier to play is the B dominant 7, which happens on beat 2 of measure 3 in the document. That bar chord sounds great with the B in the bottom, right? We got this nice rich texture. We could even bar the F sharp and the B, make it sound really chunky on the acoustic guitar. Sounds great that way. However, trying to do that for 5 minutes straight is a hand killer. So we're going to take and look at measure 11 again, and instead we're going to take out the B and the F sharp on 6th string, that big chunky chord. We're going to eliminate the notes on the 5th and 6th strings, and we're going to play now only the F sharp on the 4th string, 4th fret, A for the dominant 7 sound for 2nd fret, 1st finger, A on the 3rd string, and then the pinky is catching that D sharp. There is no B in this chord when you play it on the guitar by itself. However, in the recording, we have the bass guitar playing the low end, and he's going to catch, or she is going to catch, that low end B sound, so that when we play this over the top of it, it sounds like that, like there's a B in the bottom end. So this is a B dominant 7 over F sharp without the note B in it. And that's why, because the other band members are playing it. I think there's even a keyboard player too. So they're catching the other notes. And the guitar is just trying to get that vibey, chimey thing going in the middle there. And you just don't need all the notes of the bar chord to flesh it out, okay? Now, if you're singing it or whatever, you might have to work this out, but right now we're just working it so that our left hands don't get killed. Let's look at the next. Oh, again, we have that melody. You know, right? Da, 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 da. With these 3-note chords, it catches the melody. It's nice and chimey. Pretty sure it's what the guitar's doing. Let's look at the next chord, the C sharp minor, and how to make it easier. All right, so the next chord that we're going to make easier is the C sharp minor on beat 3 in measure 3. This C sharp minor right here. It sounds great with that C sharp in the bass. You can add the G sharp, make it nice and chunky. It's cool to play this chord and use the bar and the hammer-ons. That's a really cool sound to me. I love that sound. But it's really hard to do for 5 minutes straight. So we need to look at an easier way to play C sharp minor. So let's look down, excuse me, again in measure 11. Again on beat 3 in measure 11, we have what looks like really just an E chord over G. You have your fourth finger playing the G sharp on the 6th fret of the 4th string, first finger playing the B on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and your second finger playing the E on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. And you hear these 3 notes together, they are not definitively a C sharp minor without that C sharp in the bass. So again, this chord is one that is I consider it a C sharp minor 7 in the context of this song because the bass player is keeping the low end going. He's catching that C sharp minor in some way, shape, or form, or the piano player is, to make it really give the C sharp sound. So you can get away with playing just these 3 notes and it still sounds C sharp minor. Now just these 3 notes with an E in the bass, it sounds like an E chord. But those 3 notes with a C sharp in the bass sounds like a C sharp minor. So again, I'm just going to say again at the end, we have this melody in this going right, and you catch it with these. That C sharp right there really sounds necessary without the band, you know. But that melody is caught with those 3 notes on those 3 strings every single time. And I think this is probably what the guitarist is doing. Definitely if I had to play this song in a gig, that's what I would do. I'm not going to kill my left hand for one song, man. Especially one that I'm not really doing anything flashy or fun or cool on other than playing chords, which is cool. But, you know, a lead guitarist needs their left hand to play leads, not just play chords. So these little simpler ways to play these chords is really important. Okay, so let's take a look at how to play the verse progression. Whether you're using the full bar chords or the 3-note chords, you're going to want the melody of the note that happens on the pinky through the G sharp minor, the F sharp minor, the B dominant 7. That melody note back to the E on the second with the second finger with the C sharp minor has to happen throughout, so that you got this chimey melody, you know, happening throughout the whole thing. Now, another part of this melody that is important for me, I think, to mention and to understand is that this melodic phrase that's on the guitar that has been written is really very awkward. And it's not a bad song because it has an awkward phrase. I'm not trying to be critical of the music or of the artistic value in this tune. It's just a fact that this phrase is awkward. So that C sharp minor, when it comes in on beat 3 of measure 3, or if you're looking at measure 11, it would be measure 11, and then you have a C sharp minor again for a full measure, it is really easy to get lost right there rhythmically, because the melodic content, it sounds like there should be a measure of 2, and that it just, the phrase is just awkward. And so it makes it difficult to hang on to where are you in the phrase, right? So if I am not doing like really strict counting, I will absolutely get lost and I'll get confused because I hear the phrase in a different way than it's actually written because the phrase is awkward. So if you find yourself getting lost at the end of the phrase, you find yourself going, wait a minute, the G sharp minor came back and I wasn't ready for it. There's a possibility that the awkwardness of this phrase is the reason why. Now, the only thing that I know to get past this and to make sure that you get it right is to count really strictly about where you're at and to be very cognizant of what you are doing with each beat until you can absolutely hear it the exact way that Steve Lacy wrote it, and then you can play it over and over and over without having to count. But in the beginning, you're probably going to have to count, okay? So let's go on to some actual examples of the phrase and get into actually learning to play it by counting. Okay, so let's break this 4-measure phrase into little pieces so that we can see each piece and deal with each piece as needed. So the first part of the phrase is just 2 measures of G sharp minor. So hopefully you can count through this very easily. I'll give you the example of counting 2 measures of G sharp minor. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now hopefully you can do that really easily on your own, counting out loud, keeping it going without the video, but if you need to, go back and look at what I just did and get it for yourself. Now, in measure 11, also measure 3, where we have the F sharp minor to the B dominant 7 to C sharp minor, this is the point of the phrase that starts getting a little awkward. So we want to make sure that we can do this measure with F sharp minor, B7, and C sharp minor with confidence and clarity, okay? So let's just look at that one measure. It's 1 and on the F sharp minor, 2 and on the B dominant 7, and then 3 and 4 and on the C sharp minor, okay? Again, 1 and on the F sharp minor, 2 and on the B dominant 7, and then 3 and 4 and on the C sharp minor 7. All right, so let's take a look at that one measure. I'm going to count and play a couple examples of it for you. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and I'm using the full bar chord C sharp minor 7 just for context. Here we go. Again, same example, measure 11 and measure 3, either one. I'm using measure 11 with the simple chords. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right. So now we're going to add the last measure of the phrase, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. A full measure of C sharp minor 7. But let's just add it to the F sharp minor, B dominant 7, C sharp minor phrase measure with the last measure a couple of times just to hear that. So because it is so awkward and to get used to counting that. Okay, so here's the example. We're going to do measures 11 and 12 is one way to look at it, or measures 3 and 4. Same thing. We're going to combine those 2 measures. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, again, same thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, great. Now that you can put together the last 2 measures of the phrase, let's do the entire phrase with counting and playing, and then I'll do some example performances with the metronome at 95 BPM. Right now we're slowing it down a little bit, and let's do all 4 measures, looping it over and over with the verse. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, Okay, great. So you got to get that down, make sure that you can do it really well with comfort and ease. And then now I'm going to give some examples on the metronome, and that'll be it for the verse lessons. Here we go with the verse at 95 BPM. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Yeah, so as long as you can play it along with the metronome at 95 BPM with comfort and ease, you should be all right for the verse. All right, so a lesson on the bridge till the end. We have an E major 9 chord, which is in measure 13 and in measure 5. Measures 5 through 8 and 13 through 16 are exactly the same in the form because we're not going to change these chords. You can play these chords over and over, and your hand should never really wear out. There's no bar chording going on here. Now this is a little bit difficult to do, but let's look at the chords first and see how to play them. So the E major 9 chord, we have an open E I like to use to reinforce the chord. Then an E with the second finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string, G sharp with the first finger on the 6th fret of the 4th string, then a pinky on that D sharp on measure 3 on 8, and then we have an F sharp with our 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. It makes for that sound, okay? Now, the next chord that we're going to need to learn and know how to play for this phrase is a B dominant 11 chord. So it's like an A over B. So you have a B with your 3rd finger on the 6th string. Then your pinky's playing an A, your 2nd finger's playing a C sharp, and your 1st finger's playing an E. So it's kind of like an A major chord with your pinky playing there and the B in the bass. And it makes for a really great sound, okay? That B11 is really a cool chord, and it's used a lot in soul music. So it's no surprise that it's found here. And we'll get to this, but Steve plays an E dominant, E major 7 or E major 9 over B with that little phrase that he plays in this section. So that E major 9 over B is just an E major 9, where you had your 2nd finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string. Now just move it over to the 7th fret on the 6th string, and you now have an E major 9 over B. Get that sound with the guitar because the B is always in the bass, right? And I think the bass is taking care of the E. It makes it easier to play if you're consistent with this B being played all the time in the chord. It makes your hand, it will coordinate between those two chords better. Okay, but we'll get to that. Okay, so now the next chord that we're going to learn is the A major 7. We have our 1st finger on the 5th fret of the 6th string, 3rd finger on the G sharp of the 4th string or 6th fret, C sharp, 6th fret on the 3rd string, and 2nd finger on the 5th string, 2nd E or 5th 2nd string. So A, G sharp, C sharp, E, right? And we get that nice A major 7 sound. And then we're going to use the F sharp minor. I play the F sharp minor. I don't play it like this. To me, that's awkward because I play a lot of F sharp minor or minor 7 chords with my second finger and barring with my third finger. So feels better to me. You may play it with your first finger barring and your third finger on the 6th string. So either way works. It's just as long as you get that sound between the 2 chords and you can switch, then that's what's most useful. All right, so now we've gone over the chords. Let's go over the switching of the chords. All right, so I'm going to walk you through a practice routine to get these chord switching down for the bridge. Now, if you're new to chord switching up the neck and you haven't really done very much chord stuff up here, then the timeline of this video is going to be, you know, it's going to take me 5 minutes or something, or 7 minutes to teach this routine. It may take you weeks to get these skills down. So you have to really want it. You have to really desire to have the skills. You got to follow through again, then follow through some more. Be disciplined, be diligent, and all of those good things, and you'll get to the point to where you can have the skills to play chordal things up the neck like this. So step 1 of learning these chords and being able to switch is just knowing where to play the chords, which is what we went over in the last time code, so I'm not going to go over it again. But I'm playing an E major 9 with over B, with B in the bass, and I'm playing a B11 with B in the bass for the first set of chords. And then the second set of chords is A major 7 and F minor 7, F sharp minor 7, okay? So the first set is this E major 9 over B and the B11. So the first thing is get to where you can play the chords, where they're at, and then the second thing is just start switching them. And be, you know, trying to get your hand to move as one motion. You can see I'm not doing this. I'm not going E major 9, then get my third finger down, my pinky, my second, my first. That's what you might have to do in the beginning. Going back to E major 9, I do my second, my first, my pinky, my third, you know, and doing it one finger at a time. But you eventually want to get to where you're switching without the metronome and your hands moving in one motion. Everything moves in one motion. There's not a one finger at a time thing. If you really struggle with the one finger at a time thing, then you can do it one finger at a time. You can go 3, 4, 2, 1. And then here it would be 2, 1, 4, 3. Then do it backwards. You go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 3. And then here you go 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 1 in terms of the fingers. So that every time you switch, you're putting a new set down first, okay? And you're changing even though you're doing it one finger at a time, you're changing which finger goes down first, which finger goes down second. And you master each of those until you can finally move your hand as one motion. Or you can just try to practice the hand as one motion and just try to get it down as one motion. Okay, that's really very important. It's like this for every chord switching technique that you have. Every single time, whether it's open position or bar chords, your hand has to move as one. It can't move in individual fingers. Okay, so now that you've gotten the movement of the chords and you can switch between them smoothly, we need to start incorporating the metronome. So I'm going to use a metronome routine where we go through and do various clicks with the metronome to speed it up. What's nice about using the metronome is that you can measure what you're able to do. So the first thing we're going to do with the metronome is playing with 40 with 2 clicks per chord. And I can count us in 2, 3, 4, and it's 2 clicks per chord. Once you've gotten this at 40 and it feels comfortable and you can do it, it may take several hundred times playing it, I don't know. But once you can play it smoothly and it's easy at 40, then you speed up. Generally, usually I either speed up by 5s or 10s. So if I went from 40 to 50, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so I want to speed up with this routine all the way to 80. So let's imagine I've done 60, 70, 80. So all the in-between times, you build up from 40 all the way to 80. Then when you get to 80, it's going to sound like this. 2, 3, 4. 2 clicks per chord. You can do this smoothly. The good news is that we can now slow back down to 40 and do it 1 click per chord. So let's do that. Let's slow back down to 40 and do one click per chord and go all the way to 80. Okay, here it is at 40. 1 click per chord. Yeah. In this routine, you're going to get all the way to 80 again. So 1 click per chord, going from 40 to 45 to 50 to 60 to 70, and then build it up to 80. So here we go at 80. I'm going to just give you an example. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now that's at 80. Now that we can do it 80, we can theoretically at 40, we can now do eighth notes at 40. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you can work that up the metronome to the fastest tempo that you can get it. I actually tried playing eighth notes at 80 and I couldn't do it. So let's go up to 50 and I'll give you an example of 50 eighth notes and then we'll get to the next step. So here's 50 eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so now we've done gotten some eighth note exercises down with the metronome. We need to incorporate the actual motive of this section. So the motive we know is, we can listen to it, da, 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 da. And what that is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we got 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ba 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 ba. That rhythmic motive we have to get into our heads. So I suggest doing it. You can clap it. Well, I'll do it at we'll do it at 50 on the metronome. Hopefully that's fast enough. Let's speed it up a little bit. Let's go to 60. Now we're gonna clap the motive at 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dun and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3. Good. Now I'm a fan of getting it. You can get it at 60, 70, and 80, right? Speed it up. You can go faster than that with the clapping. Then once you get it with clapping in your hands and your body, you want to get it with your mouth like a horn player. So 3, 4, da 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 da, 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 da. Cool. Now that you can do that motive with your mouth, you can do it with your hands, you have it internalized, it's a part of who you are. You don't have to think about it that much. You're not thinking the numbers, you're just playing the musical motive and it's coming out of you naturally. It's a good time to now start incorporating the chords. So let's take a look at just playing the chords at 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. So now you've got the motive down, you can play it smoothly, and you can do it with, you would theoretically do it with both sets of chords, right? The same routine applies to the A and the F sharp. Get it down where you can play it, you know, and you speed it up on the metronome. So here is an example of exercise 1 at 80 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's an example of the with A major 7 and F sharp minor at 80 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Now you've gotten to where you can switch these chords and get them, and you know how to do it. Your body, your mind, and everything is on task. Let's get to the next step, which is going to be playing this entire musical phrase, all 4 measures of the bridge, and getting it accurate. Okay, so let's get into this final phrase. I might have made a mistake in the last time code thinking that the top tempo of this piece is 80 BPM. The top tempo of this piece is actually 95 BPM. So everything that we do with this final phrase, we're going to build up in tempo and maybe go past 95 if we can, so that 95 feels more comfortable. So that's the basic strategy here. Get the phrase down, then get it on the metronome, and then slowly speed it up past the actual performance tempo so that the performance tempo feels natural and comfortable. So let's talk a little bit first about the phrase and what it is. We have a full measure of E major 9 with 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we have that switching measure where I'm now putting the E major 9 over B. So we have that consistent bass note, and my left hand just agrees to do that really easily with that B staying in the bass. Then we have a measure, which is, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with quarter notes at the end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with the A major 7 chord, all 8th notes. Then we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So quarter notes at the end of that measure as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if you look at the PDF, this is going to be measures 11 through 16. And what is the other set of measures? I guess 5 through 8. Yeah, 5 through 8 and 11 through 16 this is the phrase. And it doesn't change either way. You're going to play these chords because they do not wear you out. These are not bar chords. They don't take the same kind of stamina. But they do take practicing how to switch. So let's do this phrase. I'm going to start at 60 BPM and work you through the phrase all the way through the performance tempo and back. Here we go, 60 BPM. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 right, so now we've done it at 60. Let's go up to 70. I'm going to skip up to 75 just to make it quick. Now you, as the student, might need to go from 60 to 65 to 70 to 75 to 80 to 85 to 99. By fives, you might need to go up by tens. Use the YouTube tool wheel to change the tempo of this and rate this in a way that makes it comfortable for you. But here's an example at 75 BPM. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now I've done examples at 60 and at 75. Again, you may not be able to go up by 15s. I'm doing that today just for the sake of this lesson to keep it shorter. So I'm going from 75 to 90. This is almost performance tempo. And I'm gonna play through it. And again, if you need to, you stagger it. Instead of going up by 15s, go up by 5s or 10s. Here we go at 90. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so now we've done it at 60, 75, and 90. I'm going to go from 90, and I'm going to go all the way to 110. Okay, this is performance tempo is 95. We'll come back to 95 in a minute, but I go past the performance tempo so that I can hopefully create a sense of ease and comfort with the performance tempo. Certainly, if I can do it at 110 accurately and consistently, I can do it at 95. So here's 110. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So now I've worked it up all the way through all of the different tempos, a very wide range from 60 to 110. I'm going to take it back to 95, which is the tempo that I believe the piece is actually being played at, or it's close to 95. And let's do it at 95, and then that'll be the final thing, just to see what 95 feels like and sounds like after doing it all the way to 110. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so we've gone through the final 4 measures at a lot of different tempos. We've seen what it's like to go slowly, past the performance tempo, back to it. I walked you through in the time codes. Before that, we walked through the rhythmic motives and how to practice it. We've gone through step-by-step ways to get this rhythm guitar part down. Now, on your own as a musician and what you're doing at home as a practicer and all of those good things, you can come up with strategic ways that are different from this one, as long as you come up with ways that work for you. These are just suggestions. These are not the end-all, be-all ways to practice. You should, as a developing musician, start thinking creatively about the strategies that you use to get better. That to me is part of the fun of learning an instrument, learning the guitar. For 30 or 40 years I've been playing, and I could play 10 hours a day with no reason other than I just enjoy learning, and I enjoy the strategies that go into learning the guitar to see how quickly I can learn something or how fast I can get good at something. And that, if you can make that and cultivate that attitude within your heart, you will absolutely love every day that you're practicing. You will absolutely love every moment that you're learning, because you're learning how to learn and you're learning the guitar, and it's all just one momentum of joy and fun. So anyway, please like and subscribe, leave a comment if you've gotten this far. I would be surprised. But I definitely would love for you to like and subscribe, leave a comment, and definitely leave me a tip in the tip jar. That helps me stay sustainable financially here on YouTube and with my private students. If you want private guitar lessons, feel free to hit me up. I'll be glad to help you. I do hour lessons, one-off hour lessons, and I have a policy also set aside for 30-minute monthly, weekly lessons too. So hit me up. Bobby at thehallsofmusic.com. Thanks.